Folks, I'm here today on Rodman, world famous Rodman Reservoir with my friend Daniel Winkles. Y'all seen Daniel behind the scenes in our coverage of the Wolfson Children's Hospital tournament, bumping all those big old fishes people bring in off the river. Well, Daniel's got chops as a saltwater guy, a hunter, just a total outdoorsman down here in Florida. And he's crossed over one of his saltwater techniques. He makes your own lures, DW lures. Available at Twitchbaits outpost in St. Augustine.
Correct.
And you got a Facebook page, DW Lures, if you want to take a good look at these, because it's unique. I mean, you make square bill crankbaits, topwater lures, and all that. But what I want to talk about is the twitch bait that you make that people aren't using nearly, aren't capitalizing on enough in the bass fishing world. But it's an awesome lure. It's like if a jerk bait and a liftless crankbait had a baby, it would be your twitch bait.
Oh, absolutely. What I like to compare this to is a hard body fluke. Everybody wants to throw a fluke because it imitates a bait fish very well, but they're so light that you can't use real heavy tackle on it. And you have that one single hook, whereas with these, you've got treble hooks and they're all about a ½ ounce of weight. So you can put them on a bait caster. All these are number 6 treble hooks. And when a bass gets hooked with those, because the hooks are on the smaller side, but they'll hook and stay in the same spot, so you don't have to worry about hooking a bass on, say, the upper part of the mouth or the outside. And when he starts shaking his head, he just leverages and rips the hooks out because they all hook each other in the same general area. So you don't get that fulcrum pullage of the hooks jarring against each other.
That might be one of the best tips you're going to pick up in this video, because Daniel gave me one of those twitch baits to play with back in May, and I went out a couple days later. Yeah, and it finally got too hot for that style of fishing, right? Well, I went to a 20-foot deep gin clear strip pit, and I mean they're coming up from depths unknown, 3.5, 4-pound bass, and I started to change out the hooks. They looked a little small, but I thought, well, we'll try it first. I was amazed at how well they stick inside the jaw, and like I said, the fish, they can't throw those hooks. It's unbelievable. That's something, I don't care what lure you're using, you want to take a look at some of these. Number 6, I think our saltwater trebles are extra strong, and they get inside and they just latch on, and the fish can't get that leverage to throw that ½ ounce lure, because this lure is heavy for a wooden lure.
It is. And one thing is nice about it is, say you're on a windy day and it's like a 10 mile an hour crosswind. When you throw your line out and you get that big bow in your line, with a lot of the lighter lures, flukes included, is you're working the bow and the line and you're hoping you feel the fish pull on the end. You can't actually feel the lure. Where with this, because it's heavy, you can kind of snap the rod, fling it out there, and even if you do get a bow in the line, as you're working it, you can still feel the lure and you still know when a fish hits it. And
yeah,
when
you know when they hit violently.
Oh yes. This wood does not absorb any energy at all. It transfers all of it up your line. So you'll get a little 12-inch bass hit that you swear is 10 pounds because it's such a violent strike.
It is. Are we allowed to say what type of wood you use, or is that a top secret?
It's top secret, but for you, I'll tell you. It's hand carved out of basswood.
Basswood.
Basswood. It's similar properties.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. It's actually basswood. It's similar properties to poplar, so it's a denser wood. It is very easy to carve. And then these aren't through wire hooks, so they're just epoxied in place. But because that basswood's actually got that grain strength, is I've put a scale on these with a pair of pliers, and it got to 15.5 pounds of pressure before the split ring twisted and the pliers pulled loose. So these hooks are not going to pull out.
Hook eye didn't fail. The split ring did.
The split ring failed. Yeah. You're not going to pull these things loose.
Yeah. You caught tarpon, snook. You had a video of a guy catching snook on them the other day.
Yep, there's guys who caught 20, 30-pound tarpon on these things. I had a guy tell me that he was fishing Guana Dam and had about a 20-pound tarpon. He pulled up on shore with a pinfish pattern I do for saltwater. As he's pulling it up, his line broke and the tarpon flopped back in the water. So not only did he lose the tarpon, he lost the lure too.
Yeah, and these are special, man. These lures really are. How about we show the camera a couple of the patterns you got. Now Daniel's adapted some of these saltwater patterns over to freshwater, or I should say painted up the lures with freshwater patterns. All your popular shad patterns, your blue back, your
the hooks don't even want to come off each other.
Brim.
So here's a pinfish pattern.
Pinfish saltwater pattern.
Yeah, this is a saltwater pattern. That's what everybody loves to catch saltwater fish on. And then I've adapted it to freshwater to where everybody knows this pattern.
Oh yeah.
The good old sexy shad. that Strike King does, and everybody, that KVD's won how many tournaments on this pattern?
Right. And everybody copies it, like I said, these days. That's become such a universal pattern because it works so well, sure.
And then I switch it around. I got some crayfish patterns.
Now that's something, my buddies that fish custom wooden crankbaits up in East Tennessee and everything, I'm wondering what they would do with a crawfish twitch bait. You know,
oh, absolutely.
And when maybe the crankbait bite, you're following another guy that's throwing that old crankbait, you got your crawfish, a little something different right here that they hadn't seen before. And I'm telling you, the bass go nuts. They haven't seen it yet. You can almost throw any color you want. I have fun with the bubblegum pink. The other day we were out here.
Oh, yeah.
Bubblegum pink, totally the wrong color. But, I mean, I could see it. I could track it. I wanted to see the action of the lure. And fish don't care, man. This is something they haven't seen, and they go nuts over it.
Yeah, this I've wondered, obviously we can't do it here at Rodman, is you get these guys that have the big rock piles that you see the crayfish, they're sit on the bottom, and then when they kick off, they'll jump up a couple feet and then sink back down. This is what I've wondered how it always work if you let it sink to the bottom, twitch it a couple times, because it's being wood in the line, it's gonna jerk it straight up and then sink back down.
And I haven't had problems with it hanging up in cover much because of the smaller hooks. That's kind of a key too with those smaller hooks. I'm telling you, try it and leave those hooks on. Try it first with a small
These
hook.
are also, as you can see, they're VMC 4X strong hooks. So these are the same hooks that if you go to a number 4, one size up, is what guys catch kingfish on. So you're not going to straighten these hooks out.
Right.
So they're very solid hooks. And then you got a good brim pattern, nothing fancy. And then of course one of the oldie solids. You can't go wrong with a Fire Tiger. Definitely here in Florida.
That's my baby, Fire Tiger. Love Fire Tiger.
New one I'm working on, which I know for a fact this catches snook like crazy, is doing hollow film on the side to get that extra flash. Nothing fancy, just solid flash.
It is Black Friday. I kind of feel like we're on HSN, you know, all the different color patterns here. You know?
Well, if you want,
we're dodging the Black Friday crowd, not having.
Well, if you want Black Friday, I got a black one right here. Black Friday.
There you go. That ought to be the name of that color. The name of Black Friday.
Black Friday. Hey, it works.
Yeah. No, this is a little something different, folks. You're not throwing twitch baits. I guarantee you're not as a bass fisherman. At least not enough. You really need to check it out. It's a whole different style of fishing, a different type of lure that some of the guys here in Florida are crossing over from saltwater. Some well-named pros we won't name, but y'all all know them. Y'all know some of these guys that have got their hands on some of these, and it will blow up big the next couple of years. You want to get out ahead on the deal, get one from a custom lure maker, Daniel Winkles, DW Lures here in Florida. Hey, let's roll out here, show them the new bigger size and the
I forgot about this one
before we roll out. Untangle that right there real quick.
So
there we go.
This is the new bigger size that isn't in stores yet. I'm just working on.
This is what you say, a prototype.
So here is a good brim pattern. And it might not show up on the camera, but there's iridescent blue scales on there. So you can see how the belly's a little bit more purple. That's because of that iridescent purple pattern.
Well, being a custom lure maker and you hand paint these yourself, you're able to do things that don't scale well for big companies. Very realistic multi-layer paint jobs, and you get that little purplescent hue. But I'm telling you, that's the key to bluegill. I grew up catching bluegill and eating them here in Florida my whole life. That's a legit thing, that little purplescent overlay that you don't get with anybody else.
Exactly.
But a custom lure maker. So we can find you on Facebook.
Facebook and Instagram, both DW Lures.
DW.
Think about, we didn't mention, it's just a swim, just reeling it back in. Sometimes you just want to reel it in, and with this is, I'll show you in a second when I get it in, is the top is beveled, so it's not straight going down the sides. So sometimes when you reel it, if you get some speed, it'll want to side to side swim itself back in. So when you look at the top profile, you see it's got that bevel. So when the water hits it, instead of just going straight, it'll give you that side to side swim action going through the water. And of course, the faster you swim it, the faster it'll do that. So if you got some schooling bass you want to throw it to instead of twitching it, you can just burn it through and get a good swim action going. So it works good for also just slow twitch. And then you can also put it out, burn it, and get that side-to-side swim motion going.
Check it out, folks. Get into the Twitchbait. It makes square bills, top water plugs, all that. You'll see all that if you get on there. But I just wanted to bring this Twitchbait technique to the forefront of your thought processes. Go ahead and get you some. They're good year-round. Fall would be a great time to learn to use them around schooling fish, and especially if you're coming down to Florida this winter, go ahead and get you some because they're going to be hard to get a hold of. It's a small batch kind of deal, custom made. Folks, take care. We'll see you next time. AnglersChannel.com.
AnglersChannel.com.